Hello and welcome everyone. We're so excited to have you as part of this session of 3D+U with our beautiful Linda Love-Simmons and our moderator today, Mrs. Amba Sneed.
Hello. Hi everyone. I see lots of new faces in this little lunch with Linda chat today. Lots of new faces. But we're going to go ahead and let's get started. Linda Love-Simmons, what are we talking about this week? Resilience.
Resilience. Who feels like they need resilience?
Oh my gosh, I think more than ever we all need that right now. So we've been talking about the past few weeks, for those who are new to our little chat, we've been talking about joy and greatness. And last week we talked about courage. And so today we have made it to resilience.
I don't think there's a better topic to hit on week, for me, 10 of quarantine. Resilience is able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions. Raise your hand. Preach. And Gigi and I were talking about this before. I mean, the reality is every day is different. Every hour is different, you know, so you might wake up in the morning and go, yeah, I got this, I am so great, and then by 2 hours later you're all, nope. Nope, I don't have this, I'm not doing great, I'm struggling, you know. And I think that is probably more the norm. The reality is we're in a pandemic, and you've heard me say it a million times, it's the terrible first time, or the effed first time that we have ever been in a pandemic. And we are still figuring out and learning how to do all of this. You know, we're figuring it out. And every day we figure it out a little bit more. And hopefully you're trying to find ways to keep yourself pumped and positive, or just allowing yourself to feel it. Allowing yourself to feel it and be in it and move through it. And how that applies to the performing arts, and especially here at 3D, is that you're going to get cut. You are absolutely going to get cut from shows. You're going to get cut, you're going to get fired, shows will close, jobs will end, pandemics will begin. All of that is actually really super, super normal. Yasmin Mogahed said, resilience is very different than being numb. Resilience means you experience, you feel, you fail, you hurt, you fall, but you keep going. And I think the hardest part of being resilient is you cannot control what you need to be resilient over. Does that make sense? You can't control it. You can't control that your boss said you are now furloughed for an unknown amount of time. You cannot control any of that. You cannot control when we're going to go back to normal. You can't control any of that. You can only control your attitude and your effort. But here's the thing. Anybody out there a control freak? If you're a control freak, please use the reactions and clap. Do you see the reactions in the down right corner? Clap your hands. Everybody clap your hands, because we are control freaks. Or you wouldn't be here. Understand that. If you weren't a control freak, you wouldn't be here. Sue Monk Kidd, I'm reading a book of hers right now called Longing. So if you want a good story, Sue Monk Kidd's book on longing, it's a really great one. But she writes, to know exactly where you are going may be the greatest way to be led astray. To know exactly where you are going may be the greatest way to be led astray. And the reality is that we can never know. And if we want it to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and we want it all to go exactly as we think it's supposed to go, we are going to freak out. Our lives are going to be freaked out. Everyone agree with that?
Completely.
I'm feeling it. I have to tell you that I woke up this morning and I'm like, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of bed, do your thing. And this morning was all, no, I don't want to. Don't feel like it. And I laid there for like, 20 minutes and I go, dang it, I got to get out of bed. remember, the greatest way to know what you're doing is you can be led astray. And so it's really important to understand that resilience looks like change. Resilience looks like change. This is we're in a new normal, y'all. It's not going back to the way it was. It's not going back to the way it was. There's hope, and there's seeds of hope, and there's faith. The crop is going to look different. You might plant the same kind of seeds that you were planting in your life 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, but they're not going to grow the same anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. That is okay. The reality is we are not going to know any more than we know right now. This moment, this present moment. And we know the things that help us, make us feel crazy. So here's a question for the room, and I'm going to call in a couple of people to answer. What gets threatened when you feel uncertain? What gets threatened when you feel uncertain? You know, I love that you said that, because we do, and raise your hand or clap or make an emoji or a thumbs up or a heart or like, oh my gosh. How many of us get all of our self-esteem, self-worth based on external? Do you know, people telling us we're doing a good job, or actually just freaking doing a good job.
Yeah.
Doing a good job, like entering into your workplace or your life and just going, I'm killing it. Yeah? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the rough part, y'all, because we're not getting a lot of external validation right now. Yeah, Vanessa, that's so good. Anybody else? Good.
No.
So the reality is growth happens outside your comfort zone. Growth happens outside your comfort zone. The opportunities that you have to become a better human are happening right now. And because we're not being able to be externally validated by people saying, great job, we have to be internally validated. We have to go, oh, you know what? Today I cooked 3 meals and I didn't punch someone in the face very hard. You know, maybe just a little bit. That is success. Resilience during a pandemic looks different. I don't know if any of you are Kimmy Schmidt fans, but I love Kimmy Schmidt. And she has a new thing on Netflix, and it's kind of like a choose your adventure. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. And the thing that I love about it is that you choose your adventure and it goes a direction, and then somehow they figured out how to make it work. But if you choose part of the adventure that they didn't finish, they say, yeah, that's not going to work. Go back and pick another one. And I loved that idea, because I'm like, you know what? Sometimes that's what it is. Sometimes you have to go back and pick another one. You have to pick another choice, right? I mean, I've said probably 50 times, try what somebody else is doing on, like somebody says, oh, this is what I do. I get up in the morning and I work out and blah, blah, try it on. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, try something else. Confidence comes from trying. Self-doubt comes from not trying. But I think resilience can look like a couple of different things. It can look like pivoting, where we have to change our direction. So I'm going to just be flat out. Those of you who know me, those of you who are the boss of me, here it is. I really only want to be a choreographer. That's what lights me up. I really, really like just being a choreographer. But I'm a director too. And you know why I'm a director? I'm a director so I can choreograph stuff. You know, that was my pivot. And then I discovered in becoming a director and a choreographer that my choreography changed, because I saw choreography from a director's standpoint. Mm-hmm. I saw a special event from a director's standpoint. So it opened up my mind. So I think that sometimes pivoting means we have to change direction. We have to do what we can control, and we have to learn, we have to adjust, and sometimes we have to reframe. So it looks like pivoting. It looks like bouncing back. Okay, so Here's a crazy story. I was on tour in college with a performing group called the Young Ambassadors, and we were 8 weeks in the Scandinavian countries, and our final visit was Sweden. I had been eating potatoes and bread and chocolate for 8 weeks. And I remember doing the opening number, which was Magic to Do. We've got magic to do. And we were wearing like tuxedos, like so dorky, 1985, okay? It was 1980. And I remember in Sweden on outdoor stage, kicking as high as I could. Well, my stinking pants were so tight that I went boom, and I fell down on the ground like splat, and I like bounced back up as fast as I could, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'd never like really fallen on stage by that time of my life. And I said, oh my gosh, I was freaking out. And I said to my friends, did you see that? And they said, you like bounce, sister. You went boom. So it made me think of that story, because the reality is sometimes you got to lick your wounds, and sometimes your bounce back's got to be super fast. You got to lick your wounds. You got to say, I'm super sad. And then you just got to get up. Just get up. And we're going to talk about persistence and consistency next week. Sometimes we just got to let things go. We have to feel what we feel. We have to be sad about it. And then we got to let it go. Or we evaluate it. And this goes back to what we talked about a couple of weeks ago. You have to evaluate your why and see if it still sits in a good place. You're still believing your why. And then decide what you need to let go. Number 4, you need to take care of yourself. I think the athletes, you know, when somebody's, I don't do sports ball, but I use sports analogies, so go figure. But like if somebody gets hurt on a soccer field, everybody takes a knee. Sometimes in life, we have to allow ourselves to take a knee. We have to allow ourselves to go, whew, that was hard. I'm a little beat up. I need some space. I need some help. Therapy is great. Friends are great. Talk to people. Sometimes we have to take a knee, and taking care of yourself is knowing when to take a knee. Because if you cannot take care of yourself, you cannot take care of other people, as you know. And the 5th one I think is so important is we have to hold on to hope. And I think that all sounds really good right now, but maybe that's one of the hardest ones. In Dante's book, the Divina Commedia, he says, above the gates of hell, it says, abandon all hope, ye who enter here. And truly, when hope is gone, what we have left is the flame of the inferno raging on every side. So maybe, offering it up to the room, resilience is having hope. Having hope. And the definition of hope is feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. In Wikipedia, I love it. It says, hope is an optimistic state of mind that is based on expectations of positive outcomes with respect to a certain. The reality is you can have hope if you just take one more step. Being able to believe that you can is more important than any dream. Just create, keep going, don't give up. And most important, create a resilience anchor.
What is that?
A resilience anchor. We've already kind of talked about it before. I think when I think of an anchor, I think of something that grounds us, right? That makes the boat so it stops moving. It will move a little bit. Or an anvil, you know, a heavy thing that anchors us down. We have to recognize that we belong first to ourselves. We belong first to our purpose. We have to know our why. And that whole idea of being words. Impossible. And that whole idea of being yeah, you know what I'm saying, is so important. We have so much need for external validation. This time during this quarantine is a great time to do the work to have more internal evaluation. I think you have to create the dialogue you want in your brain. That's the anchor. the dialogue you want to have in your brain. We've talked about it before. I have ugly, horrible, mean, hateful voices that live in my head. They are awful. I hate them. They're mean and I shouldn't give them power, but sometimes they rear their ugly head, and that's really, really hard. The thought of that we've talked about mindset, about a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And then there's some people, and I tend to be this way, you know, Pollyanna, Little Mary Sunshine, is just have a positive thought and it will change everything. No, it won't. Or just have a negative thought and it will change everything. No, it won't. So something that Michael Gervais, who does the podcast, he's the emotional coach or the trainer for the Seahawks, the Seattle Seahawks. And he has a podcast called Mind Mastery. It's really amazing. But he talks about not having a positive mindset, a positive attitude or a negative attitude, but having a neutral attitude. Being able to look at things and just go, that's what it is. And not put, yes, like, oh yeah, this is the greatest thing ever. Just accept and be in that middle ground. Writer Carol writes, no matter how bleak or menacing a situation may appear, it does not entirely own us. It can't take away our freedom to respond, our power to take action. The adversity will create advantages for you. And think about this. This is the craziest thing. You have already lived through your hardest day. Mm-hmm. In your life, you have already lived through your very hardest day and you're on the other side of it. So you should be going, yes, I am a champion. I am doing some serious virtual kicking butt on this pandemic thing because you're already there. Because the reality, again, I'm going to say it again, adversity will create advantages for you. It will make you stronger than you were before, and it will become a catalyst for your growth.
So how do we, in doing all of that, how do we get better at being resilient? Like, how do we get stronger in having that ability to be more resilient?
Such a great question. I mean, it's like a push-up, right? You do one push-up the first day, and then you do 1.5 the second day. It's holding a plank. You hold it for 15 seconds, and then you hold it for 20 seconds. It's about encouraging, we talked about last week. It's about resilienting, making it a verb, realizing that it is a process. Maya Angelou wrote, I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to let it reduce me. And I'm going to say that again, but I refuse to let it reduce me. And I think there are 5 things that you can do that will help you become stronger in resilience. The first one is you have to make peace with the unknown. You have heard me talk about my experience with the Disneyland band. And when it first was going to begin, my boss, Susanna, said to me, Lindita, you need to dwell in the unknown to be creative. And I go, I don't freaking have time to dwell in the unknown. I need to get this done, you know? And I was like, get it done. But you know what? Gosh darn it, she was right. I did need to dwell in the unknown. I needed to sit there. I needed to let it mull. I needed to work with people. I needed to work with musicians. I needed to talk. I needed to ask for help. I remember, if you know any of the Disneyland band stuff, when I was choreographing Zorro in my head, I was choreographing it as I was watching the band play it in rehearsal. And one of the trumpet players, Sarah, came and sat with me, and I said, would you walk me through these measures? And then she said, this is at measure this, this is at measure this, this is at measure this. And it was like, oh, it was the first time I was able to really speak band language with measures. And I was off a little bit, but I was way better than I was in everything else that had happened before. So I think that sometimes we have to make peace with dwelling in the unknown, but also ask for help. And you'll hear me say that a million times. Harness the strength from your past. Harness the things that you've learned in the past. Oh, you know what? This rehearsal process, this thing I'm working on, this show I'm working on, this, you know, sometimes, like, I've worked on shows that I didn't like. I know that sounds ridiculous. I loved the process and I loved the people, but I didn't much like the show. But that's okay because I got through it. And so when I am in a time where I'm feeling frustrated and aggravated, I just recognize the fact that I've already survived my worst rehearsal process ever. And I can do it again, you know, whatever that may be. Number 3, don't choose comfort over who you need to be tomorrow. You know, we've talked about that a lot in weeks past. We've talked, have you sold out a moment of personal growth for binge watching Succession? Which, if you haven't watched Succession, is a really good show. Those people are horrible. Continue, and I love this because when I talked to my kids about this last night, this was their number one thing. Continue to show up. Continue to show up as you did before you had this doubt or before you had this hard time. Continue to show up with excitement and energy. And the 5th one, I think this is the most important. So if you're writing stuff down, write it down. It's not about the goal. It's about who you become while chasing the goal. It's not about the end. It's about all the stuff in the middle. How many of us have gone paleo where we've taken the bread off of the sandwich? Ew. I have, but I still crave it, love bread. It's about who you become while you're chasing your goal. It's about who you become when you get knocked down. It's about who you become when somebody takes the wind out of your sails, when you feel like your ship is going to sink. It's about who you become.
So
That
Linda,
is, yeah.
question for you. So
Yes.
when the wind is knocked out of our sail and all of that, you know, it's hard to find that light sometimes. How do we adjust our feelings of sadness and discouragement to get towards everything else to keep that resilience?
Don't you wish you all had the answer to that? Raise your hand. I wish I had the answer to that, but I'm going to tell you a few things that I think help. I think you have to go to war on the voices in your head. You have to go to war on the voices in your head. The reality is, let's talk about an audition. For every one job, there are like 100 people who could do that job, you guys. That might make you feel bad because you're going to go, oh my gosh, Amber, does it, oh yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so special. You are super special, but you could be at an audition table and it's going to change. I sat in auditions where we knew our cast 100% going into callbacks. And then callbacks came and there were 2 different people at the table. Right, Amber? Right? We're like, oh yeah, done. No. So yeah, totally different cast, not even a single person. So I think that one of the greatest things you can do is you have to catch yourself every time you start to talk, that crappy voice starts talking in your head. Catch yourself so you don't wreck yourself, right? So catch yourself and say, I just took an online thing with Mel Robbins. And it's that 5-second law, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I've been trying that. So every time I start to go to, you're so dumb, you know, or like the negative voices, I recognize it. I go, oh, coming up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, not today. And sometimes when you make that disconnection, you disconnect those thought waves, you can change the patterns. Because it becomes a habit. We become self-deprecating. I'm so dumb. I'm not talented. People are stupid. I know everything and they're lame or whatever. But I think that helps. And remember, Margaret Thatcher said, and I've used this quote before, you may have to fight a battle more than once to win the war. And I'm going to change her words. You will have to fight the battle more than once to win the war. If you don't deserve to win the war. You know, if it was easy, everyone would do it. If it was easy to do whatever is in your heart that you feel like you need to do, you know, we wouldn't do it. And Oprah Winfrey, my queen, says, turn your wounds into wisdom. So when things are sad and you feel destroyed, turn those wounds into wisdom. What did you learn? What did you learn? Is this happening to me or is it happening for me? Which you've heard me say about 1,800 times. John Maxwell, if you don't know who John Maxwell is, you need to know who John Maxwell is, okay? Because he's one of the greatest leadership peeps in the world. And he talks about the if factor mindset. And he gives 3 points. Adversity introduces us to ourselves if we want to know ourselves. So the hard times, the goo, all of that will introduce us to ourselves if we want to learn. So that's having a desire to need that wisdom to how can I be better. In the book, if you are a personal development person, you should always have on your shelf As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. It's like 75 years old. But it has so much good content. Circumstance does not make the man, it reveals him to himself. So if you walk out of an audition because you messed up and you're like mean and angry and snotty, then you haven't learned from that audition. P.S. This is Linda adding in. Never talk trash on anyone ever. The end. Especially at an audition. One time, I was auditioning for the Golden Horseshoe, and I came out, I had sung my song, and then I came out, and this guy after me goes, "Oh my gosh, that accompanist is the worst. He just wrecked my song so bad, I hate him." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" He goes, "Did he mess your song up?" I go, I played it perfect because he's my husband." Yeah, don't ever talk trash about anyone. Adversity is a better teacher than success if we learn from it. Because everything you don't get helps to prepare you for the things that you will get. Adversity opens doors for new opportunities if we want to learn from adversity. This is the deal. So this is what I want you to practice. I want you to take your gratitude practice, and I want you to savor the positive. You know how do you just love really delicious food? Anyone?
Yeah.
Out there? Like if I eat the bite of really delicious food, I'm just like, this is so delicious. You know, it just is so wonderful. You savor it. I went to a yoga retreat once where it was glamping for sure, a vegan chef. And I went to this yoga retreat, and we had to like chew our food 30 bites, and we couldn't talk to each other. And you really savored the food. Savor the things you're grateful for, and say them out loud. Don't write them. Even if no one will listen to you, say, I am so thankful for whatever, you know, I'm trying to think. I'm so thankful that it was my daughter Alyssa's birthday yesterday, and Hannah made a sour cream coffee cake that was so delicious that I wanted to die. So just savor it, thank it, and say it out loud. It really gives power to the things that you're grateful for. And yeah, so here's the deal. Nelson Mandela said, "Do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up." There are always going to be people who are telling you you're doing it wrong. Mm-hmm. There are always going to be people who have a better idea than you. I remember someone said, "You know what?" I said, you know, you can't change that choreography. But we like ours better than yours. Well, that's not your job. And when that is your job, you can change the choreography, you know. But first, I'm going to tell you the one thing. They were right. Their choreography was better than mine. And eventually, I changed my choreography to their choreography. There was just a way it had to happen. And so it's just important to know that we just got to keep asking for help, and we got to get up. But there are always going to be people who think that we're doing it wrong, or they're going to give us a bunch of criticism. Do you know those people?
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are the ones who are standing in the arena, in the bleachers, not fighting the lions in the pit, who are saying, oh, you should have done it this way. Oh no, when you're fighting the battle, I will listen to you. However, I'm going to take that back. Listen to everything. Listen to everything. Decide what you need of it and learn from it. Because everyone can teach us. Everyone can teach us. Use what you need and use it, get better. And I love, Brenda, you asked a few weeks ago, how do you deal with feedback? And of course, I always think about things, I should have said, I think of feedback as feed forward. Because feedback feels like you're going backwards. But if you take the feedback and you go, I'm going to give you some feed forward. I'm going to give you some stuff that's going to help you to move forward. Feedback can become super powerful. Resilience, and then we're going to open it up to some discussion. Resilience is accepting the new reality, even if it's less good than the one you had before. Everyone's all, dang it. Resilience is accepting your new reality, even if it's less good than the one you had before. You can fight it. You can do nothing but scream and shout and be sad about what you've lost. Or you can 100% try to put things back together and create something good. Haven't you been so impressed and inspired by all of the art and the things that people have been creating online? It's so amazing. I mean, my screen time is ridiculous because I'm like watching everything. I'm all, oh my gosh, so good, Justin Mitnick. You're so good doing your trombone things, or whatever. It's so cool to be able to see all the things. One of my favorite ideas, and I'm a woman of faith, and so if this doesn't resonate with you, you can just erase this if you want. But is don't hyperventilate at 9 o'clock in the morning when the grace of God is trying to bless you at 6 p.m. Do I need to say it again so I can go preach?
Say it
Do
again.
not hyperventilate at 9 o'clock in the morning when the grace of God is trying to bless you at 6 p.m. We are all at 9 o'clock in the morning, you all. We're at 9 o'clock in the morning. And what's going to happen, because this pandemic will end. It probably will not end when we want it to. And we're probably going to be in this making adjustments for a long time till there's a vaccine. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is we wouldn't have been called to be in this place if we weren't strong enough to see it through. We would not be here. You would have already been done. But here you are. Isn't that exciting? Are you proud of yourself? Like, what the heck? Come on. Yes, sir, Bob. Give yourself a high five. Give yourself a pat on the back and say, today, I did today. It's 1 o'clock. And I said this in my dance class on Tuesday. I said, y'all, if you're not learning how to do something new, you are missing the opportunity. Because how many of us for so long are like, if I only had more time to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, to take dance class, to do yoga every day, to do 100 sit-ups, to write my book, so take the time. Take the time and decide, what's the next right thing for you to do? So my question is, do you have any questions? Or thoughts? I mean, there's so many people on these pages who are like freaking brilliant thought leaders and freaking brilliant human beings that I love so much. So thoughts, ideas, things that you went, oh man, that's going to help me. Glow raised her hand. I don't know how to do the raise your hand thing. Somebody needs to teach me that. I need to. Okay, look, glow. Look, talk. Could somebody unmute glow? Lower your hand. I don't know. I'm going to look at the chat. I am the worst in technology person that
Well,
ever lived.
Glow's having an issue with her audio connecting. Let me unmute her. Let's see.
Okay. Oh, good. Thanks for doing all the quotes.
Glow,
Is it
are you
working
there?
now? Is it working now?
Yes.
Yes, Glow.
Yay! Hi,
Hi, Glow.
Linda. You just reminded me of a story that a philosopher told me at a conference. And if you want to Google it, it's called "Good Luck, Bad Luck, Who Can Say?" And it's about a Chinese proverb. And it's not a long story, but I don't want to take up everyone else's time. So I'm more than happy to tell the story, but I also wanted to just let people know, hey, Google it, because it like aligns perfectly with your idea of, when positive or negative things happen, the importance of a neutral mindset.
Yep. Perfect. Yeah, perfect, Glow. Thanks. Yeah, everybody Google it. Anybody else? It is everything in life is a practice. Deep practice, whether you want to become a great dancer, singer, trumpet player, manager, leader, teacher, guide, choreographer, whatever, it takes practice. And sometimes we want to get to the end first. And really the good stuff is the middle. The good stuff is all the stuff that we get while we're working on it. That's where the amazing thing happens.
Yeah.
Anybody else? You are saving me. You are saving me. You are saving me because I'm an externally validated human being, and this is giving me an opportunity just to be in community for people who are trying to grow like I'm trying to grow. And so if I can say even one word, thanks, Brenda, one word that helps you get through tomorrow, I'm happy to be able to do that. So thank you. Thanks. All right, gang. What else? Donna Parsons. Oh, Donna Parsons, I love you.
We love Donna.
We love Donna so much. I'm trying to send the book list, but I'm going to just say it again really fast. It's As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. The 5-Second Rule, Mel Robbins. And right now that course I took was 7 hours of content for $29 on Creative Live. So I don't know I'll message me on Instagram and I'll tell you what it is.
Linda, can you throw out your Instagram handle again for us?
Yeah, my Instagram handle is @Linda-Love-Simmons. It's so complicated. My Crystal Dancer showed me how to do Instagram via FaceTime, and then Grace told me that it sounds my Instagram sound like robots because I don't use any GIFs or exclamations. Join us, that's all. So I'm trying to get better with all the people. I think I asked Grace to help me post something yesterday, and she goes, "God, why are you so dumb?"
You have to have all the exclamation points, and you have to have the gifts. That's how we know you're real.
Oh, and the music. I know how to do music too. So anyway, we have time for go write down all of your accomplishments that you've had in your life. All of them.
I think that what Crystal just said is so important also, in that having someone else view it, because I always say, I wish we could all see ourselves the way we see other people, because we're so much more kind and gracious to other people, and we see the beauty in other people, and we refuse to see it in ourselves. It's so much easier to look at how wonderful everyone else is. So I think we discount ourselves a lot, like you. So it's important to make those lists and have someone else say, you know what, you're also rock this, and you're also good at this, and you left out this amazing thing about you.
Linda Love-Simmons on Facebook. I'm at Linda Love-Simmons on Instagram. If you have questions, comments, quotes, things that you would like to further discuss, please reach out to me. I'm happy to do it.
You're such a doll, Linda, and these are such great sessions. I know that we all gain so much insight from what you share with us. Right, Alex? Right. And I mean, I just look forward to this class, and also this is my chance to see my office mate Amber, since the pandemic divides us, my darling.
I miss you.
I miss you. She is the best office roommate ever.